Hey guys, Harry Thomas here and welcome muggles and wizards everywhere to my updated ranking of all 11 Wizarding World movies, which will include the Harry Potter and Fantastic Beasts movies. Of course, we've still got two more Fantastic Beasts installments to go before this franchise is complete. In the meantime, while we wait, we can at least rank the 11 that we've seen thus far. Now, this list may be the most controversial ranking period, but my rankings often are. So, without further ado, if you want to know my ranking of the Wizarding World movies from my favourites to least favourites, then just keep watching. Oh, and just to note, I do not hate a single Wizarding World movie, even the ones on at the bottom of my list I still enjoy. At number 11, at the very bottom, the Half-Blood Prince. Sorry, Half-Blood Prince lovers, but this has always been the most boring and fillery Wizarding World movie in my book. People complain Crimes of Grindelwald is boring. Hell no. Did you see the Half-Blood Prince? This movie should have been, the build-up to the war with Voldemort in Deathly Hallows. It should have been exploring more of Tom Riddle's memories, yet all we got was teen romances and comedy Quidditch. Sure, there's still fun to be had, and Slughorn is a real star, and it's fresh. We have a new teacher at Hogwarts that isn't a Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, but still, though, removing the final battle and Dumbledore's funeral, ouch! That makes for the most anticlimactic ending I've seen in a Wizarding World movie. Uh, that makes for the most anticlimactic ending I've seen in a Wizarding World movie. There's still a good movie to be found here, sure, but what this movie needed was a little luck. More specifically, liquid luck. At number 10, the one that started it all, the Philosopher's Stone, or Sorcerer's Stone, if you're a US Wizarding World fan. I know what you're all thinking, Harry, why put the first one so low? Sure, this movie's a total classic. Sure, it's the first movie I ever saw on the big screen and fully sat through its 2 hour and 30-minute runtime without being bored at age 6. It's just there are more impressive Wizarding World movies that followed after this. This was very much the experiment and starter of the franchise. We would get better to come, but starting things out on a lighter note was still the perfect way to immerse audiences into J.K. Rowling's Wizarding World, and Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint need no introduction as child actors. They don't need to be taught how to act. They could just do it. They were that gifted. At number 9, the final Chris Columbus Wizarding World movie, The Chamber of Secrets, just a millimetre better than Philosopher's Stone, as this one needs less setting up and can cut to the chase a little faster. It's also a more confident movie in every sense, with scenes like the flying car and the legendary and underrated final showdown with the basilisk. And it's not possible to be won over by our favourite house elf, Dobby, and for his final performance as Albus Dumbledore, Richard Harris gave a remarkable one. At number 8, the most overrated Wizarding World movie, but still a freaking masterpiece, The Prisoner of Azkaban. The darker turning point which the series most certainly needed to take. Alfonso Cuarón brings the most authentic and spellbinding visuals in the franchise to the table, and learning about the backstory with Harry's parents and his and the relationship with his godfather, Sirius Black, made this feel more emotional than the first two combined, and Harry suitably gets darker as a character. Not to mention Hermione gets one of her best girl power moments when she punches Malfoy. And Remus transforming into a werewolf still scares the ever-loving shit out of me today. Michael Gambon's first appearance as Albus Dumbledore is a marvellous one, even if he's not as involved in this one as he will be in the later ones. At number 7, the only Harry... At number 7, the only Potter to not be scripted by Steve Kloves but by Michael Goldenberg instead, Order of the Phoenix. While this one has gone slightly down now on reflection, it's still one of the more underrated and overly criticised movies for me. Sure, it's far from the most cheerful Wizarding World experience, but it was necessary to get the darker stuff going. I mean, Voldemort was back, and Harry just has the weight of the world on his shoulders with in this one. Imelda Staunton is the irreplaceable Umbridge, and Umbridge is not quite a murderer. I personally think Grindelwald and Voldemort are far more evil, and the final battle at the Ministry of Magic will always be one of my favourites, especially Dumbledore versus Voldemort, and Harry and Sirius have their best moments together in this one before Sirius's death, and Daniel Radcliffe even confirmed he thought his acting was at its best when he was with Gary. At number 6, The Goblet of Fire, the first Wizarding World movie to be directed by a British director, and thankfully not split into two parts, as it works perfectly as just one. And this movie, like Order of the Phoenix, this movie adaptation improves over the book in every conceivable way. I mean, I now would slightly take this one over Order of the Phoenix, as it's just a tad more action-packed. Triwizard Tournament is like the Wizarding World version of the Olympic Games, only 100 times more dangerous and extreme. Fleur Delacour is a Hossie. Words cannot express how stunning Clement's posse looks in this movie, and the ending is the point where Harry Potter fully grows up with Cedric's death and Voldemort's resurrection. Plus, this is the first 12A PG-13 Wizarding World movie, so much so that I was even underage to see it in cinemas at the time, but once I saw it on DVD, I was beyond blown away by it. At number 5, another one that most would consider a lower tier Potter movie, but I have to disagree. The Deathly Hallows Part 1. Part 1 deserves some credit as well as Part 2. Despite being less action-packed than Part 2, Part 1 feels darker than any of the Potters that came before it, with several character deaths, a torture scene, and even a naked kissing scene. Holy shit, David Yates doesn't hold back, and I applaud this one for being the only Potter movie to not have any Hogwarts in it. We get to see some breathtaking landscapes out in the British countryside, and the middle acts where they're camping is not as slow as everybody says, as there are still some intense drama with Harry and Ron's fight and Harry and Hermione's dance, and the Seven Harrys is a triumph of visual effects 12 years later, and the deaths that hit the hardest were Hedwig and Dobby for sure. Plus, Voldemort stealing the Elder Wand is one hell of a cliffhanger. I still very much consider this the Empire Strikes Back of the Potters. Number 4, the supreme alpha of all of the Potters, Deathly Hallows Part 2. I mean, I don't know a single person that doesn't put Part 2 above Part 1, because we at long last get to the final battle. Having Part 1 cover the camping stuff so that Part 2 could just be 1 2-hour battle against Voldemort was the right way to structure Deathly Hallows. Shitty Breaking Dawn Part 2 and mediocre Mockingjay Part 2 have nothing on Deathly Hallows Part 2. The Battle of Hogwarts is a true cinematic spectacle for the eyes, and boy does it bring out the tears when we lose our favourite characters in it. And it's the shortest of the lots. That's only 2 hours and 5 minutes, yet it manages to cram in the most. My only one nitpick is that I wish we got to see Ginny do some more dueling, but I mean, come on, she's Harry's wife. At least give her one great moment. But other than that, I can't help but get up and clap every time I watch this movie, as it beautifully closes the book on Potter, and I had no idea we'd be returning to the Wizarding World 5 years later. At number three, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. This is as perfect as prequels come, surpassing all ace of the original movies that came before it. With it's perfectly comfortable in a fresh location in 1920s New York, and is the second Wizarding World movie with no Hogwarts at all. Newt has such a heartwarming arc, going from being socially awkward and distancing himself from humans to making friends in Tina, Jacob, and Queenie by the end. Queenie being one of the kindest and one of my favourite movie characters of all time, literally, and the beasts are just. Completely outdoing anything we saw in Harry Potter. I mean, I could spend the rest of my life in Newt's case. And if you're a fan of the darker side of the Wizarding World, you won't be disappointed, as there is a subplot with Credence the Obscurial being trapped by a Goblet Grindelwald who is impersonating Percival Graves, and the movie balances itself wonderfully. At number two, I know this is the pick that nobody's going to agree with me on, but what was once my favourite and the most underrated Wizarding World installment, The Crimes of Grindelwald. I mean, what a epic sequel. It's not a crime to be in the minority and give Crimes of Grindelwald some love. I mean, it's got a kick-ass opening scene and final showdown with Grindelwald at the Paris Lestrange tomb, and it gets more ballsy and takes more risks in its storytelling than Where to Find Them did, by having Queenie actually go over to Grindelwald's side as well as Credence, and that Aurelius Dumbledore cliffhanger blew my freaking mind. You're just on the edge of your seat, not knowing who to trust in this divided world. James Newton Howard's score sure packs a punch. I, for one, love the inclusion of Nagini, and I hope this is not her last appearance in the franchise. And Johnny Depp, in his final portrayal of Gallus Grindelwald, made a villain who makes Voldemort look like a pushover in comparison with his manipulative characteristics. And my number one favourite Wizarding World movie is, are any of you even the slightest bit surprised? Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore, the most recent one. Go check out my review for my full thoughts on this fantastic masterpiece, which should hopefully get the fourth and fifth movies greenlit by Warner Brothers extremely soon. The sooner the better. So that was my updated Wizarding World ranking, and I may have to wait another 2 years to do my updated ranking when Fantastic Beasts 4 is released. But we are the queens and kings of being patient, so it will come. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this ranking. What's your ranking of the Wizarding World movies? I expect to see Fantastic Beasts at the bottom of everybody else's list, and I know everybody's going to favour Harry Potter. Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. I'm going to be taking a short break from Fantastic Beasts videos. I'm going to review a couple of other movies this April, but I do have just one more video for Fantastic Beasts month coming towards the end of the month. And remember, movies are us. Bye, guys.